by them. All who touches its carcass must remain unclean until twilight. All who carry its carcass must wash their clothes and remain unclean until twilight. All animals whose hoofs are undulated but not divided and not regurgitating is unclean unto you. All who touches it must be unclean for you. Of all the four-legged animals, those that go on their paws is unclean for you. All who touches its carcass must remain unclean until twilight. Those that carry their carcass must wash their clothes and remain unclean until twilight. Those are unclean for you. Of the creeping creatures on the ground, these are unclean for you: the weasel, the mouse, the great lizard according to its kind, the gecko, the land crocodile, the lizard, the sand lizard, the chameleon. Among all creeping creatures, these are unclean for you. All who touches them after they are dead must remain unclean until twilight. Any among them after they are dead, if they fall upon anything, all of these will be unclean, whether it be wooden vessel, garment, skin, a sack, or a vessel in use. Everything must be put in water. It must remain unclean until twilight. Then it will be clean. Any among these, if fallen into an earthen vessel, all that is in it will become unclean. You must break it off. If that water falls upon any edible item, it will become unclean. If any drinking liquid is inside such vessel, it will become unclean. If the carcass of any one among these falls upon anything, all of it will become unclean. Oven, griddle, any such as these has to be broken. They are unclean. It must be unclean unto you. But spring and well containing water will be clean. He who touches the carcass will become unclean. If the carcass of any one of these falls upon the seeds which are grains for sowing, it will be clean. But if the seeds are watered, and then the carcass of any one of these falls upon it, it will be unclean. If any animal which is edible for you dies, then he who touches its carcass must remain unclean until twilight. He who eats its carcass must wash his garments and remain unclean until twilight. He who bears its carcass must also wash his garments and remain unclean until twilight. All creeping animals on the ground are profane. You must not eat them. Whatever that goes on belly, whatever that goes on all fours, or whatever that has many legs and swarm on the ground, you must not eat. They are unclean. Do not make oneself unclean of any creeping animals. Neither make yourself unclean by means of their impurity. I am the Lord your God. For I am holy. You must make yourself holy by sanctifying yourselves. You must not make yourself unclean by any of the creeping animals that creep on the earth. I am the God who brought you forth from the land of Mesrin, that I may be God unto you. As I am holy, so you must also be holy. This is the ordinance for animals, birds, all creatures that swarm in water, and all creatures that crawl on earth, so as to differentiate between clean and unclean, edible and unedible animals. Chapter 12. About the woman who has delivered. The Lord spoke to Moses. You should say this to the people of Israel. If a woman conceives and bears a male child, she must remain unclean for 7 days. She must remain unclean like during days of menstruation. On the 8th day his foreskin must be circumcised. Then she must remain for 33 days in her blood purification. Until the time of her cleansing is finished, she must not touch anything sacred. Neither must she go over to the sanctuary. If she delivers a girl child, she must remain unclean like during the times of menstruation. Then she must remain 66 days in her blood purification. Then for the son or daughter, after fulfilling the days of purification, she must bring a lamb that is 1 year old for burnt offering, and a turtle dove or young pigeon for sin offering at the door of the tent of meeting to the priest. He must offer it in the presence of God and do reparation. Then her bleeding will stop, and she will be cleansed. This is the ordinance for she who has delivered a male or female child. If she cannot afford a lamb, she must bring 2 turtle doves or 2 pigeons, one for burnt offering and the other for sin offering. Priest must do reparation for her. Then she will become pure. Chapter 13. The Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron concerning leper. If you find on the skin of a man a swelling, eruption, or a white spot, any such marks of leprosy, he must be brought to Aaron, who is the priest, or to any one among his sons who are the priests. Priest must examine the mark on the skin. If the hair inside the mark appears white and the mark deeper than the skin, then it is a symptom of leprosy. Priest must examine and declare him unclean. If the mark on his skin is white, not deeper than the skin and the hair inside the mark, not white, then a person with these symptoms must be shut down the room for 7 days. On the 7th day, the priest must examine him. If the mark has not spread on the skin and remain as before, then the priest must shut him inside the room again a second time for 7 days. The priest must examine him on the 7th day again. If the mark has become dim and is not found to have spread, then the priest must declare him clean. It is only an eruption. He must wash his clothes and keep himself clean. After showing himself to priest for purification, if the eruption spread on the skin wide, he must again show himself to the priest. If the priest see that the eruption is spreading, then the priest must declare him unclean. It is leprosy indeed. If a man shows any symptoms of leprosy, he must be brought to the priest. Priest must examine him. If there is a swelling in his skin and the hair in it is white, and if there is a presence of raw flesh inside the swelling, then it is in his skin chronic leprosy. Priest must declare him unclean. Since he is unclean, he must not be shut inside. If the leprosy has spread wide from the head to foot of the patient so far as the priest can see, and the mark has covered the entire skin, then the priest must examine. If the leprosy covers his entire body, then he must call the one with diseased spot as clean. He has become whole white. He is clean. But if raw flesh is seen in him, then he is unclean. It is leprosy. But if the raw flesh has changed to become white, then he must come to the priest. The priest must examine him. If the spot has become white, then the priest must declare him who has the spot as clean. He is clean indeed. If a boil on the skin has been healed, and in the place of the boil, if there is a white swelling or a reddish-white spot, it must be shown to the priest. Priest must examine it. If it is deeper than the skin and the hair in it is white, the priest must declare him unclean. It is the leprosy that was formed from the boil. But the priest examines it, finds no white hair in it, and it is not found deeper than the skin, and the color has grown dim, then the priest must shut him inside the room for 7 days. If it has spread wide in the skin, the priest must declare him unclean. It is a symptom of leprosy. But if the white spot has not spread but remain in the earlier state, then it is the mark of the boil. The priest must declare him clean. Or there happened a burn on the body, and the mark of the burn becomes reddish-white or remains white, the priest must examine it. If the hair in the spot has become white and has grown deeper than the skin, it is the leprosy formed from burn. Hence the priest must declare him unclean. It is a symptom of leprosy indeed. But when the priest examines it, finds no white hair in the spot, it has not grown deeper than the skin, and the color has grown dim, the priest must shut him inside the room for 7 days. On the 7th day, the priest must examine him. If it is spread in the skin, the priest must declare him unclean. It is indeed a symptom of leprosy. But if the spot has not spread in the skin, but remains in the same state, and the color has grown dim, it is the swelling of the burn. Priest must declare him clean. It is the swelling of the burn. Priest must declare him clean. It is verily the swelling of the burn. If a man or a woman has developed a boil on the head or the beard, priest must examine it. If it is found deeper than the skin, and in it is found golden-colored fine hair, the priest must declare him unclean. It is an itch, a leprosy on the head or beard. When the priest examines the mark of the itch, he finds it not deeper than the skin, and in it black hair is absent. Priest must shut him inside the room for 7 days. On the 7th day, the priest must examine the mark. If the itch is not spread, and there is no golden hair in it, and the appearance of itch is no deeper than the skin, then he must shave it. But the place of the itch must not be shaved. Priest must shut the one who has the itch again for 7 days inside the room. On the 7th day, the priest must examine the itch. If the itch is not spread on the skin and the appearance of it is no deeper than the skin, then the priest must declare him clean. He must wash the clothes and be clean. But after his purification, if the itch has spread on his skin, the priest must examine him. If the itch is seen to be spread, the priest must not look for the golden hair. He is verily unclean. But if the itch remains in the earlier state, and in it has rooted black hair, then the itch is healed. He is clean. Priest must declare him clean. If a man or woman develops white mark on skin, the priest must examine. If there is dim white spot on the skin, it is itch on the skin. He is clean. He who has lost his hair in the front is bald at front. He is clean. If on the bald forehead or the bald hindhead there is a reddish-white spot, it is the leprosy on his bald hindhead or bald forehead. The priest must examine it. If on his hind head or forehead the swelling of eruption of leprosy is reddish-white in color, he is a leper. He is unclean. Priest must declare him unclean for sure. He has leprosy on his head. The clothes of the leper with eruption must be torn off. His head must be uncovered. He must cover his mouth and also cry out, unclean, unclean. He must be unclean all the days of his affliction. He is indeed unclean. He must live alone. His dwelling must be outside the camp. In any of the garments made of wool, or linen, or in a warp made of wool, or linen, or in woof, or in skin, or in any article made of skin, there appears a mark of leprosy. And if the mark on the garment, skin, warp, woof, or any article made of skin is light green or light red, it is a symptom of leprosy. It must be shown to the priest. Priest must examine the mark, and those with eruption must be shut inside for 7 days. He must examine the mark on the 7th day. If the mark has spread on garment, warp, woof, skin, or in any article made of skin, the mark is chronic leprosy. It is unclean. If the article of mark be in the cloth made of warp, woof, or any article made of skin, it must be burnt off. It is chronic leprosy. It must be burnt by fire. But the priest must examine. If the mark has not spread on the clothes, warp, woof, or in any article made of skin, the priest must order the article that bears eruption to be rinsed. It must be stored inside again for 7 days. After rinsing, the priest must examine the mark. If the mark has not changed color or has not spread, it is unclean. It must be consumed by fire. It is the boil that is taken from inside or outside. Then the priest must examine. If the color of the mark has become dim after washing, he must tear it off from garment or skin or warp or woof. If it is seen on the garments or warp or woof or any of the article made of skin, it tend to spread. That which has mark on it must be burnt in fire. But if garment or warp or woof or any article made of skin has been removed off from it, the mark on it after it has been washed, it must be washed a 2nd time. Then it will be clean. Of cloth made of wool or linen or warp or woof or anything made of skin. Concerning the mark of leprosy, the ordinance to declare it clean or unclean is this. Chapter 14. The Lord again spoke to Moses. The ordinance for leper on the day of his purification. He must be brought to the priest. Priest must go to the outside of the camp, and if the priest has become convinced that the leper has been cured of leprosy, he must instruct to bring for him, who deserves purification, 2 live and clean birds, deodar, scarlet thread, and hyssop. Priest must order to slay a bird kept upon an earthen vessel in which running water is taken. Bird that is alive, deodar, scarlet thread, and hyssop is taken, and these along with the bird that is alive is dipped in the blood of the bird that is slain upon the spring water, and sprinkled 7 times over the person who is to acquire leprosy purification. Declare him clean, and the bird that is alive is to be flown away to the fields. One who is purified must wash his clothes, shave off his hair, and bath in water. Then he will be clean. After this he must return to the camp and live outside his tent for 7 days. On the 7th day he must shave his head, beard, and eyebrows. In this way he must shave all his hair, wash his clothes, and bath his body in water. Then he will be clean. On the 8th day he must bring 2 lambs without blemish, a ewe lamb of 1 year old without blemish, 3/10 of an ephah of fine flour as cereal offering, and a tin of oil. The priest who does purification must make stand the person who is to be purified along with these at the door of the tent of meeting. The priest must offer one of the rams and oil as guilt offering in the presence of the Lord. He must slay the lamb in the holy temple where the sin offering and burnt offering is slain. Guilt offering is for the priest, as a sin offering. It is most holy. The priest must take some blood from the guilt offering and put on the right ear and the thumb of the right hand and the great toe of the right foot of the person who has been purified. Then the priest must pour some oil in his left palm. The priest must dip oil from the left arm with the finger of the right arm and sprinkle 7 times in the presence of God with the finger. The priest must put some from the rest of the oil in the palm on the right ear, the thumb of the right arm, and the great toe of the right foot of the person who is to be purified, and where the blood of guilt offering is. The oil which remains in the palm of the priest must be poured over the head of the person who is purified and made reparation for him. Priest, after having offered sin offering and removed the sin of the person and made reparation for him who is purified, The animal for burnt offering must be slain. The priest must offer burnt offering and cereal offering on the altar. Thus, when the priest does reparation for him, he will become clean. If he is poor and cannot afford so much, he must bring for the reparation of sin, as offering a lamb for guilt offering, 1/10 of an ephah of fine flour, 1 tin oil, 2 young pigeons or 2 turtle doves, that which is affordable, one as sin offering, and the other as burnt offering for his purification on the 8th day at the door of the tent of meeting to the priest. Priest must take the lamb for guilt offering and oil and offer it in the presence of God. He must slay the lamb for guilt offering. The priest must take some blood from the guilt offering and smear it in the right ear, thumb of the right arm, and great toe of the right foot of the person who is purified. Priest must pour some oil on the left palm of the hand, and take some of it with the fingers of the right arm, and sprinkle it 7 times in the presence of the God. Priest must smear some oil from the left palm on the right ear, thumb of the right arm, and great toe of the right foot of the person who is purified, and where the blood of guilt offering is, the oil which is left on the left palm of the priest, he must pour on the head of the person who is to be purified and do reparation for him in the presence of God. In accordance with what is affordable to him, he must offer one from the turtle doves or young pigeons, one as sin offering, and the other as burnt offering along with cereal offering. Thus the priest must do reparation for the one who is purified in the presence of God. This is the law for the leper who has not enough to offer for purification. The Lord again spoke to Moses and Aaron. After you have reached the land of Canaan that I give you as inheritance, when a house in your land of inheritance has been afflicted with leprosy, the owner of the house comes to the priest and says, I feel the house is afflicted with leprosy. Then it should be commanded that all the articles in the house be removed before the priest arrives to examine the mark, lest all that is inside the house may become unclean. Then the priest must examine the mark to test the house. If he finds light green and light red spots on the wall of the house, and if it appears to be deeper than the wall, priest must come to the door of the house and shut the door for 7 days. On the 7th day, when the priest visited again, if the mark is found to have spread on the wall of the house, the priest must command the stone that has marked to be dislodged to an unclean place outside the city. Then the whole of the house within must be made to scrape off. The soil scraped off must be thrown to an unclean place outside the city. Then another stone must be placed to replace the other stone. The house must be plastered with lime, which is fresh. Thus, after removing the stone, scraping the house, and plastering the house with lime, if the mark reappears in the house, the priest must go and examine. If the mark is spread in the house, it is chronic leprosy of the house indeed. It is unclean. The stones, wood and lime of the house must be let demolished and broken and taken outside of the city to an unclean place and burnt by fire. Whilst the house was kept shut, if it so happened that anyone enter at any time, he must be unclean until twilight. He who sleeps in the house and he who eats from the house must wash his clothes. Having had the house plastered, if the priest who visits inside finds that the mark has not spread in the house, the priest must declare the house clean since the mark has gone away. Then for the house to be purified, he must bring 2 birds, deodar, scarlet thread, and hyssop, and having taken these, he must slay a bird over the running water in earthen vessel. Then having taken deodar, hyssop, scarlet thread, and bird that is alive, dip them in the blood of the bird that is slain, and in the running water, and be sprinkled over the house 7 times. The house must be purified with these, such as the blood of the bird, running water, bird that is alive, deodar, hyssop, and scarlet thread. The bird that is alive must be flown off to the field outside the city. Thus reparation has to be done for the house. Then it will become clean. This is the ordinance for all leprosy, boils, itch, leprosy of the clothes and houses, for swelling, eruption, and spot. In order to distinguish between clean and unclean, this is the ordinance for leprosy. Chapter 15. The Lord again spoke to Moses and Aaron. You must say to the people of Israel, if any among you has discharge in his members, he is unclean of discharge. The ordinance for the uncleanness by his discharge, whether his member keeps producing discharge or not, it is unclean. The coat laid over by the person with discharge is unclean. All the things sat upon by him is unclean. He who touches the coat of the person with discharge must rinse his clothes, bath in water, and must remain unclean until twilight. He who sits on the thing upon which the person with discharge has sat on must rinse his clothes, bath in water, and remain unclean until twilight. He who touches the body of the person with discharge must rinse his clothes, bath in water, and remain unclean until twilight. If the person with discharge spits on a clean person, he must rinse the clothes, bath in water, and remain unclean until twilight. Whatsoever vehicle he gets in will become unclean. All who touches things kept beneath him must remain unclean until twilight. He who bears it must rinse his clothes, bath in water, and remain unclean until twilight. If the person with discharge touches anyone without rinsing his hands with water, he must rinse his clothes, bath in water, and remain unclean until twilight. The earthen vessel which he has touched must be broken away. Wooden vessel and bronze vessel must be rinsed with water. When he has been cured of discharge and has become clean, for purification, he has to count 7 days, rinse the clothes and body bathed in running water. Then he will become clean. On the 8th day, he must take 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, come unto the presence of God at the door of the tent of meeting, and give it in the presence of God. Priest must offer one among them as sin offering and the other as burnt offering. Hence the priest must do reparation for him in the presence of God for his discharge. If a man discharge semen, he must rinse his whole body with water and remain unclean until twilight. All the clothes or the skin on which semen has fallen must be rinsed with water, and it must remain unclean until twilight. If a man lies with woman and there has been semen emission, both of them must bath in water and remain unclean until twilight. If a woman has discharge, and if her discharge is blood, she must remain unclean for 7 days. All who touches her must remain unclean until twilight. In her uncleanness, if she lies upon anything, all of those will be unclean. If she sits upon anything, all of those will be unclean. He who touches her coat must rinse his clothes, bath in water, and remain unclean until twilight. Anyone who touches the things kept where she sat on must wash his clothes, bath in water, and remain unclean until twilight. If anyone lies with her, and her uncleanness comes upon him, he must remain unclean for 7 days. The coat laid on by him will become unclean. If a woman has bleeding for several days not during menstrual days, and if she bleeds several days exceeding menstrual days, the uncleanness of her days of bleeding must be like menstrual days. She must remain unclean. The coat upon which she lies upon during the bleeding days must be like the coat of the menstrual days. The articles upon which she sits must be unclean like the uncleanness of the menstrual days. He who touches it will become unclean. He must rinse his clothes, bath in water, and remain unclean until twilight. If she becomes cured of bleeding and made clean, she will be clean after 7 days. On the 8th day, she must take 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons to the door of the tent of meeting to the priest. The priest must offer one as sin offering and the other as burnt offering. Thus the priest must offer reparation for her in the presence of God, owing to the uncleanness of her bleeding. You must thus exhort the people of Israel about their impurities, lest they may cause my dwelling in their midst profane and die in their impurities. This is the law for the person with discharge, he who has become unclean by the emission of semen, woman in menstruation, male and female with discharge, and he who lies with woman who is unclean.
All glory be to the Holy Trinity, one God!
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen.